So most people who try cold email, they typically quit inside 30 days. And it's not because cold email is dead, all right? It's because they built things in the wrong order. They pick a tool, they buy a list, then they spend 2 weeks writing an email that nobody is ever going to answer. And there are 5 parts to this machine. Every part feeds into the next. And if you get these in order and the thing works, and if you skip one, you spend 3 months guessing. It's not fun. So in this video today, I'm going to give you all 5, and then I'm going to show you the exact scorecard that tells you whether or not you passed. So stick around until the end to find out. So before I get into this, just a quick story for you guys, just so you know this isn't just theory. We took on a sales consultancy out of Waterloo. First week, we sent about 5,700 emails, and we got 38 replies, 14 interested, 2 calls booked, 1 became a client. Sounds fine, but it wasn't. The fit was loose. We were getting hammered with negative replies. So we did something that felt wrong in the moment, and we turned down the volume, stopped scaling, and actually went back to the drawing board, back to the offer. 20 plus copy rounds, and we changed who we targeted twice for this account. And by day 42, 1 week of sending in the right niche, we had 16 interested leads, 6 calls booked, and more than the entire month before that. Same tool, same team, same inboxes. The volume was never the issue, and that is what level 1 is going to teach you about. The goal is not scale, it is proof that a stranger will book a call with you. That's what level 1 is all about, and this is where most companies are starting out. So here's what we're going to cover in today's video. Parts 1 through 3, that's mostly going to be the plumbing, it's going to be the boring stuff, and you build those once. Part 4 is where the money starts to come in. That's where the money is. And part 5 is where most people lose a deal that they already earned, sadly. And at the end, I'm actually going to give you guys the 4-box scorecard. And if you tick all 4, it's awesome. You pass level 1 and you are actually ready for the thing that actually scales this. And I will show you what that is at the end too. So let's build it. And as Harmozy always says, make people an offer so good they would feel stupid saying no. Keep that in mind for the whole video, because 4 of the 5 parts exist to deliver. So part 1 is the sequencer. The sequencer sends the emails, tracks the replies, and rotates your inboxes so you are not hammering one address. And the first decision for most people is going to be email or LinkedIn. And what I recommend is start with email. There's 2 main reasons for that. First is volume. You can send way more volume. You can get real feedback in days instead of weeks or months. And you cannot learn anything from 40 messages that sends over LinkedIn over the course of a couple weeks. And email actually also just doesn't care who you are. LinkedIn's going to punish a thin profile if you have 300 connections, no content, stuff like that. So LinkedIn outreach lands soft in those situations. But for email, it only checks whether the offer was worth answering. So you can start from 0 easily. Starting from 0, if you don't already have sequencers in place, I like to recommend Instantly. It's cheap, it's simple, has a very simple user interface, and it does everything that you need for the first campaign. And if you want access to this deck that I'm going over in this video, it'll be available in the comment section down below. So for our clients, personally, we run Email Bison. It's an invite-only private sequencer, and the deliverability is absolutely spectacular. That is the whole reason that we land in the inbox instead of the promotions tab or the spam folder. So for you, if you're starting out, pick one of these. Don't stack 3 tools in one. You don't need to. Most times, just start with Instantly. You're going to be taken care of. So parts 2 and 3, they move quickly. And this is basically the boring middle part. But it's infrastructure first. You're sending domains in your inboxes. One rule, never send cold email from your real domain. So ours is valentemedia.com. We would never ever send it from there. We would create new domains similar to that one and create inboxes like that. So a campaign will go sideways early on, and you do not want that damage landing on your main domain because that's where you send invoices from. And yeah, if your invoices aren't landing in the inbox, that's an issue. So buy separate domains that look like your brand, put inboxes on them, warm them up, you're good to go. We use scaled mail. It's reliable, it's quick, it's easy to use, and you're not going to spend a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon just going through DNS records, wondering why SPF is failing. It's the least glamorous part, and Scaled Mail fully takes care of that for you. And again, we'll have the link down there. You guys can use it down below. And the second part here is the data. And this is where you pick who you are actually talking to. Bad data kills good copy. Nothing else in this machine can save you from that. So the best email of your life to the wrong 2,000 people is going to get you nothing. In fact, it can also get you blacklisted. People will report you as spam. It's not good. So we used to use Apollo. Right now, our trusted provider is Prospeo. They have clean data. They refresh it every 7 days. And they only do data. Apollo focuses on multiple things like their sequencer. They do data, enrichment, a bunch of stuff. Prospeo does one thing really well. It's the best way I can describe it. And that focus matters. It's also cost effective too. It's very competitive with Apollo, which counts when you are testing and burning through lists. So get two things right: who they are and where they are, title, industry, size, and location. And when you're doing the location, if you're targeting the United States, for example, ensure that the people are also in the United States. And a warning, your first guess at who you serve is usually wrong. So back to that Waterloo account example, we started at founders and CEOs. The winners ended up being VP of sales. It's a much tighter niche. So start in smaller sample sizes, maybe between 1,000 to 3,000 leads. And once you know exactly what your ICP is, that is when you can increase the amount that you are sending to on campaigns. So expect to be wrong. Build so being wrong is cheap. Don't make the mistake that we've made in the past. And quick pause. Just if part 4 is the reason that you're here, and it should be, most people struggle the most with the copy, hit the like button. Takes about a second, and it's going to tell YouTube to show this to other people building the same thing as you. And the full deck I'm showing on screen is linked in the description. Completely free, no email required, and it's the same one we hand our clients. All right, part 4. And this decides everything. This is the copy. So the one rule, under 75 words. And if it scrolls on a phone, it dies. Nobody reads paragraph 3 from a stranger, all right? Rule number 2 is the big one. Spend 80% of your time on the offer, 20% on the intro line and the call to action. I have never once seen someone reply because the opener was clever. They reply because the offer was worth the risk of answering. And that is the whole game. If anyone tells you anything different, they're lying. And of course, I'm sure there's caveats. Like if your intro or your call to action is just completely terrible, sure. But 9 times out of 10, you just need a simple opener, simple call to action that leads with value, and your offer does the heavy lifting. So if you cannot say your offer in one sentence, you don't have an offer. You have a description of your company. And there's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And the simple principles that it talks about is people don't care about you. They don't care about your business. They care about themselves. They care about their business. Tell them how this will make their business, their life easier, how it's going to save them more money, how it's going to make them more money. Don't talk about this weird feature that your company rolled out. Rule number 3 off this is one angle, one ask. No images, no bold text, no logo signature, no links, no to like any website or URL or anything, because all of that's gonna hurt deliverability. And it should also just look like a regular person just typed it up and sent it, typed it from their phone or from their desktop. Simple is often better in this case, and I'm going to give you an example. So here is the super simple frame we use. Of course, this is tailored for every single company, client that we work with. I just put something simple here for you guys. Hey, first name, notice you are based out of city. Then the offer with your social proof sitting right next to it. So it could be for us, it could be our offer, what we do, putting more 10 to 20 qualified meetings on your calendar per month. And then we might talk about how we did this for another company. And then on the call to action, we might say, do you want me to send over how we did it? Or do you want me to send over the case study? Or something like that. Something that leads with value, because then it's going to directly benefit their company. And it creates a curiosity gap, which is super important. So look at the call to action. It is not, do you have 15 minutes Thursday? It asks for a simple, low resistance yes. Nobody has to open a calendar or move a meeting to say yes to what we have. And the opening line does one job. It just proves you looked. This is all the variable is for. It is not personalization. It's just a proof of effort. Middle bracket is where you do 80%. So good quote by Brian Tracy. Approach each customer with the idea of helping solve the problem, which it obviously raises the next question, which is how do you know which problem to lead with? And the answer is you do not. you test. You base this off of previous discovery calls that you've had with people. You base it off of market research, base it off of real world data, which you can get through Outbound. So this is the part almost everybody skips. Never launch one version. Launch 3 to 5. So not 3 versions of the same email with the words shuffled around, or you're testing out one singular word or something like that. I'm talking 3 to 5 completely unique offers or completely unique different angles at the same problem. For each variation, ensure it gets at least 200 to 500 cents per variation before you touch anything. Before you deactivate a split test, before you call one a winner. This is where most people fail. They send 40 emails, they get nothing, panic, rewrite, and truthfully, it's not enough data to go off of. You cannot read a signal out of 40 cents. You're just reacting to noise. At 200 to 500, it's a reasonable sample size where you can say, okay, well, this one's clearly not performing, or hey, this one clearly is winning. Then you can just cut, kill the losers, keep the winners. It's super simple. And then you build new challengers against the winner, and you do it again. If you have one winner, you add in 2 or 3 more variations, and you let them compete. Today's winner is tomorrow's control, and that loop never ends. That loop is the job. And this is something that we do for our clients every single day of every single week. We are continuously checking this to see if we can have a better angle. So what does a winner actually look like? It's a very good question. This is what we go off of. An interested rate over 20%, more than 1 in 5 people who reply are actually interested. That is a winner. You can keep that. That's going to be the main KPI that you look at. Reply rate between 2 and 5%, that's going to mostly tell you about deliverability. So if it's between that range or higher, you have very good deliverability, it's healthy, your emails are landing. And 200 to 500 cents per variation before you call anything. And of course, as you get past this level 1 stage and you are booking more meetings, you're going to want to look at the appointment booking rate. It's not here, but it's just as important. And here's the diagnosis that saves you weeks. If replies are under 2%, that is not a copy problem, that is a deliverability problem. So you are more than likely in the spam. Do not rewrite a single line until the inboxes are fixed. How do you fix the inboxes? You run inbox placement tests, you see how they're landing. You try to diagnose that down to one domain, and you can either rotate it through the provider like scaled mail, or you can just spin up some new domains, new inboxes, and let those warm up for a couple weeks. So someone says yes. Awesome. Where is the money and how is it leaking out? Well, every single interested reply gets answered inside 5 minutes. You don't wait till the end of the day. You wait for 5 minutes. You try to get within that 5-minute window. Make sure you have a connection to a Slack server or your phone or something where you can get the notifications so you always know when they come in. And that person is in the inbox right now with their guard down. In 2 hours' time, they're in a meeting or they're gone or something like that. So whenever you get a reply, get it within 5 minutes. And when you do reply, give one clear next step and explain why it makes sense. Don't just drop a booking link and hope, but tell them what happens on the call and what they walk away with. So us, for example, every person who hops onto a call with me, we're going to give you a complete roadmap going through all of the outbounds, the best strategy for your company, all of this stuff. And you're going to have it. Whether we work together or not, you are going to have this. And that's a real example. And that is lots of value for a company. So find that equivalent for your business. And bonus round here, and nobody does this. There's very few people that do this, very few agencies that do this. But pick up the phone inside the 60 seconds window of that reply and just shoot them a call. Let them know that you're responding to the email. Ask them a few qualifying questions. And if it makes sense, book them in for a meeting. Appointment rate ends up increasing significantly. The appointment show up rate is way more significant, much higher. And believe it or not, the close rate is actually higher. I believe, and this is just my hypothesis, because each prospect feels like they are getting the attention that they deserve. They feel more important. And that's the main principle behind Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You want to make other people feel important. And yes, it is uncomfortable, but that is exactly why nobody does it. And that's why I believe that is the biggest untapped potential for Outbound in 2026, and definitely going to be in 2027 and onwards too. So Jim Rohn said this: success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every single day. Everything I just gave you is a discipline. 5 minutes, 200 cents, kill the loser. So here's how you check yourself. 4 boxes. 1, a machine that sends without breaking. 2, an ICP you can describe in one sentence, not a spreadsheet filter, an actual sentence. 3, copy that beats the bar, proven over at least 200, 500 sends, and it's not a guess. Proven. 4 is meetings on the board. Meetings are coming on the board. You're doing it. And that is the proof of concept. Not a business yet, but it's proof of concept. And at that stage, you can then begin to scale things. And it's worth saying plainly because people get here, they see a couple of meetings and immediately try to 10x the volume. That's exactly what we did on the Waterloo account, and it cost us a month. So don't scale the machine that has not proven itself. And here's the thing about level 1. You are the system. You have this business, you're running everything, you're helping service these clients, you're running their operations, you're doing the sales calls, you're doing the outbound, you do everything. There's not enough time in the day to speed to leads a new prospect that comes in, to give them a free resource, to nurture every single one, while you're also doing all the sales, while you are also running the operations of your company. Every reply runs through you, every follow-up, every single nudge, and that works at 10 meetings a month, breaks at 30. And while you are living in that inbox, you are not selling, you're not serving the clients you already have, and those are the only 2 things that grow the company. So level 2 is actually building the system that runs the machine without you. It's the same 5 parts, but it's a completely different job. And that is going to be the next video. So subscribe so you can catch it, because level 2 is the one that turns this into a proper business instead of a second job. And the deck is going to be in the description below. And look, if you got to this and thought, I do not want to build any of this, it's completely fair. Most people don't. And it is a real build. It takes a lot of time to get it right, especially if you're new going into it. And if you would rather we just run it for you, there's going to be a link below. You just fill out a short form. We'll audit your current outbound setup if you have one, and it books you straight onto my calendar, and I do those calls myself. Either way, go build the machine. Don't wait. God bless, and see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.